For a number of years, I lived in fear of fast tempos, like I know many other guitar players do. Finally, with the help of some great teachers, I got over it. And the way I got over it was not by learning how to pick faster. I tried and tried and tried to pick faster. It never happened for me. So I know other guitar players are in the same situation, like picking fast is very difficult. Some people can do it. I was never able to play eighth notes picking at like 250 or, even 240 is kind of a stretch for me for picking. But especially as you get like 250, 260, my picking totally fails. In the intro of this video, you heard me playing a C jazz blues at 250 beats per minute, and you might have noticed I was not struggling at all. Or at least, I didn't feel like I was struggling, and I've come a long way playing fast tempos, and I owe it pretty much all to legato technique. There are a lot of videos already on YouTube about legato technique. However, I haven't found any that really show you how to do them over fast tempo swing. They're all like a lot of them are like rock licks, or there are a couple guys that do it, but they don't teach it. So I felt like I could fill in the gap and put a lesson up of how to play legato technique, making your eighth note swing at fast tempos. So to start out, I'm just going to use this A minor pentatonic shape just for the purpose of demonstration, because I think just about everybody knows that shape. And then we'll move on to some other shapes. The number one rule for playing legato technique at fast tempo swing is you have to kind of copy the way saxophone players articulate. If you ask any good saxophone players how to swing, they'll tell you you tongue on the offbeats and you don't tongue on the beats. So you're basically accenting the offbeats. And I follow this rule completely when I play fast tempo swing using legato technique, but instead of tonguing, I'm picking. So just to play this A minor pentatonic, I'll demonstrate. It would go and, I'm picking on the and, 1, I hammered on there, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and then coming back down, I pick and then pull off, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2. And with some practice, you can get it going really quick. And you want to try to make it connected and really even. My biggest hurdle with this was trying to get it to not sound like a horse galloping, But if you slow it down and practice it really slow with a metronome and just record yourself and listen back and say, was that even? You can eventually get it really even sounding like this, which is what you really want. You don't want it to sound like a horse galloping. It's distracting and it doesn't really swing. Okay, so that's the rule. You pick on the offbeats, you pull off on the beats, or hammer on. So now the thing that I ran into was I was, before this, working on legato technique with my 3-note per string scales. This presented some problems because how do you have one note picked and then one note not picked when you're playing 3 notes on a string? You're going to do a pick, a hammer on, and then you have one note left out, so you have an odd number. There are 2 ways that I have found to deal with this. The first way is to simply take out a note. So I take my 3-note per string scales and I leave a note out. This does affect what vocabulary I can play, but that's the vocabulary that I use. when you heard me playing over the up-tempo blues in the intro of this video, I was using all of my shapes where I left a note out. So it does affect your vocabulary, but you just develop your stuff around what you can do. So let me give you an example. I'm going to use this G Mixolydian shape here on the 3rd fret, or you could call it C major, but I'm going to start on the G. So here's the shape. And on the 1st string, I'm going to play G, A, hammering on the 2nd one. And then on the 2nd string, I have B, C, D, and I'm going to leave out the C, the middle note. And then on the D string, I have E, F, G, and I'm going to leave out the G. So I'm going to play, leave out this note. And then on the next string, I have A, B, C, and I'm going to leave out the C. So it's just going to sound like this, where it would have been. And then on the next string, where I have D, E, F, I'm going to leave out the F. So I'm just going to play. And then on the next string, I'm not sure. I'll probably leave out the middle note and play G, B. But sometimes I'll play G, A. I don't know. It's kind of varies on that one. So now let me play that at a really slow tempo. So you'll hear. A little bit quicker. I think I might have changed on that last one. I have practiced a couple different ones of these for each scale, just depending on like what notes I want. So it's sometimes hard for me to pick one. My fingers just fall into different ones at different times. Okay, so that's way number 1. I have all these 2-note per string shapes that are not pentatonics. They're just my normal scales that I removed a note from. And like I have one that works better for dominant chords in that. Like I have a G7 one that was kind of like a G7 sound. But I have another one in that shape that works better for like a C major sound, which sounds like this. I'm not going to go through all my shapes because I have a lot of them and they kind of run together at this point. So you'll have to just, come up with your own or take Skype lessons with me if you really want to dive into all of my 2-note per string shapes. But I use them a lot. I have different ones all up and down the fretboard in both melodic minor and major scale. I highly recommend spending your time working those up to speed until you find yourself being able to play stuff like this, where you're just flowing around the neck, putting them together. That's what I'm doing. You hear me play stuff like that, and a lot of it is 2-note per string shapes. Now, I do have something, so that was my first method of dealing with the problem of how to swing using 3-note per string scales. And my second method I use, I take a string with 3 notes on it, and I just play like 2 pairs of 2. So let's take, for example, this on the B string, D, E, F. So here, if I don't want to take a note out, I'll play something like this. Or, let's see, do I have any other ones? No, that one doesn't work. But basically, I just play 1 pair, and then I play my 3rd note, but I pair it with one of the notes I've already played to come up with 4 notes, and then I have 2 pairs of 2, and I'm picking on my offbeats, and I'm not breaking any rules, and it swings. So some vocabulary that I use that has that within it might sound like. again, it's a very specific thing, but that's what I do to swing. And one last thing that I want to mention, there are a lot of things that I have tried and failed to swing. Like, you probably noticed in a lot of my videos, I transcribe guys like Michael Brecker, who play lots of really amazing lines that I would really love to be able to play on guitar. And many, many, many of them I've given up on because I can't make them swing on this particular instrument using the techniques that I just showed you. And it's annoying, but you just have to learn to give up a lot of stuff. For every lick that you have to give up, there's 5 more that work great. I always put the importance of my swing and my feel above having the exact notes that I want. So if you're ever in a position where you're saying, well, it doesn't feel exactly right, one of the notes is kind of dragging or rushing, and I don't think I can get it together on guitar, my advice is give it up. Your time and your feel are number one. Choose the notes that feel the best. It's all about rhythm. So that's about all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed it.